Getting you set for a fun Tuesday edition of Corbet's Corner. This is going to be a recurring episode. I'm Dylan Corbett, of course, my partner in crime, Matt Cruzen. This is going to be something that I got into during the pandemic, right? Sports stopped. I got into the stock market. It tanked. I bought low, and I've gotten really invested, pun intended, to the stock market. And I think you can follow a lot from different methods of stock trading, buying, selling, what NFL team's stock is high after 2 weeks and what NFL team is something maybe you want to get off of. Maybe it's a surprising 2-0 start. Maybe it's the Las Vegas Raiders. Are you going to buy them or maybe sell after a 2-0 start and maybe sell high after a big dominant win over the Saints last night? Got to give credit where credit is due. Matt, you had a very nice NFL player prop weekend. You got robbed of that Josh Jacobs touchdown. Man, he was just inches short, and then eventually that got taken away. He finished without the touchdown, but you cleaned house in college football, so a nice betting weekend for you this weekend.
Yes, solid week overall. Very tough with Josh Jacobs last night. Had the one where he was down the goal line, then they throw to the fullback, and
Yeah.
then I think there was another.
Typical Gruden play, hit the
Then
fullback.
Zay Jones scored a touchdown, just like their fourth or fifth receiver. Like, come on! But yeah, overall, we carry forward with what we have, and we'll definitely take a positive opposed to a negative.
Yeah, no kidding. All right, so let's get right into it. So I'm going to hope to have some sounds associated with this. This is getting more well-produced with each day, which we're excited about. So we'll start with teams that we are buying. A lot of noise was made about the draft. Jordan Love. Oh, my goodness, they're not helping Aaron Rodgers. They're in trouble. You've got the Bears, the Vikings. Don't know if that was to light a fire under Aaron Rodgers. I think he's just still one of the greatest quarterbacks we have, and he's showing it. So he is not really at the height of the MVP conversation, but I think he's putting up those numbers to where if they keep winning, he is going to stay at the top of the NFC North, and I'm buying in on the Packers. A.J. Dillon can't even sniff the field. How about Aaron Jones? He killed me as Toph had him on fantasy. I was facing him this weekend. It was incredible. So they've got three legit running backs. Devontae Adams, if he can stay healthy. I am buying Green Bay. Who do you like after 2 weeks, Matt?
I actually am buying on Las Vegas. They
Okay.
impressed me last night. I get it. Michael Thomas is out. We're going to talk more about that game later. Gruden has this team kind of where he wants it. He wants to ground and pound, run it down your throat. He has his every down feature back. Josh Jacobs, you've heard a lot about him from me the last 24 hours. But the defense looks like it has improved for sure. That division, obviously you have the Chiefs, but I think they're definitely a better team than the Broncos and probably the Chargers too, depending on what happens with that quarterback situation. I think, and then another thing, they're playing a last place schedule or a third place schedule. So give me the Las Vegas Raiders to sneak into the wild card at 9-7, 10-6.
I really would like to see Gruden do well, succeed. He got robbed by Antonio Brown, dealing with that circus. Everyone's laughed at him for years, but now he's actually got a really good team, it appears. And you said it's a weak AFC West. The Broncos appear toast injury-wise. And season-wise, it appears. So Las Vegas certainly in prime position. That's a good buy. I bought this team before kickoff on week one. It's the Los Angeles Rams. I'm going to keep buying them. I bought them week one. What was that, against the Cowboys? Underdog victory. Or I can't even remember what that line was, but they won. They were an underdog against the Eagles this past weekend. Hammered that. That was easy. I believe they're an underdog again, Matt. You brought that up the other day. So I'm going to keep buying on the Rams. This team was 2 years removed from a Super Bowl runner-up finish. I know teams like to disappear after Super Bowl runs, a la my Atlanta Falcons, but the Rams still got McVay. Is this – I could see teams selling on the Rams too because they have given out a lot of questionable contracts. They are pretty cap room strong held at the moment. They've got a lot of money tied into Jared Goff, but I'll buy them on 2-0 starts against two good teams, the Eagles and the Cowboys, right? Maybe good teams, but two solid wins, so I'll keep buying on the Rams.
Like the Rams, also another team I've been high on from the get-go. I'm high on them every year as long as they have Russell Wilson and Pete Carroll at the helm, and that's the Seattle Seahawks. They had an interesting offseason. They didn't re-sign Clowney. The one weakness they do have is they don't have a pass rush. They're getting no pressure on the QB, but we're seeing what Wilson is doing, MVP leading candidate right now. That's pretty certain. Chris Carson running the ball, lots of weapons. DK Metcalf was a man amongst boys against the defensive player of the year in the AFC. That team is very good, very tough division, but I am buying the Seahawks.
Yeah, always a strong buy. I like how you put that as long as it's Carroll and Russell Wilson. And now it appears they've got a safety, right? Jamal Adams has been in the headlines for his play. Here's a guy that I did not buy, so I'm going to have to. I'm eating crow here. I was not high on Big Ben Roethlisberger in his return. I know the Steelers have good defense. I know Mike Tomlin's a hell of a coach. Big Ben surprised me. He's done well. He's done Big Ben things. He's a little bit reckless. He's a little bit of a gunslinger. Doesn't play too well in today's NFL, where it's all about precision and accuracy and not guys throwing interceptions. But Big Ben has got a defense. He's got a coach. This is a coach he's won a Super Bowl with, and now he's got a guy like Minka Fitzpatrick, T.J. Watt. Pittsburgh's scary, so I'm going to buy them here after just 2 weeks.
That was actually a team I was going to sell, but right now I'm not
You're
going to buy
holding
a
pat.
horse. As I look at their schedule, they play the Browns a couple times. They play the Bengals a couple times. They play the Jags. They play the football team. They play the Cowboys. They play the Eagles. They play the Texans this week. I mean, that's 10 wins right there with much difficult. So that's a very good buy now that I think about it, even if it's not them. I'm
Big
buying the
Ben, I'm
schedule.
with him. He's shocking me.
I'm buying the schedule. But for my last buy, give me the Patriots, the New England Patriots. Obviously, they were the number one story of the offseason, separating Bill and Tom, first time in 20 years. You want to know the steal of the offseason? Cam Newton on a minimum contract.
Yeah.
He is back. Superman is back. He's for real. He's their goal line carrier. I know he didn't score on the last play, but just to make that a game, I know it's in Seattle without the fan noise. It's still halfway across, or it's still all the way across the U.S. It's not a game. It's easy game to go win. They did not win, but they held their own. You know, Belichick will have the defense figured out. They struggle early usually, and he comes around. It's still the NFC or the AFC East that has the Jets in it and the Miami Dolphins in it. Pats make the playoffs 10-6 wild card. I do like the Bills to still win that division though.
I'm always buying Patriot stock. I'm just bathing in it. Belichick. Yeah, no, I never make anything of a Patriots regular season loss because he's always just collecting data. He's just collecting data for the playoffs. All right, let's get on the selling train now. I am selling off. I am jumping off, doing a barrel roll off the side of this train. It's the Houston Texans. Yes, I will make fun of myself here. I thought the Texans were a dark horse Super Bowl candidate this year. I am quickly off that train. They are 0-2. They look terrible. They've gotten blown out by probably the two best teams, maybe arguably in the NFL, right? They went Chiefs and then Ravens back to back. I just Bill O'Brien. You know, it's hard to. I think Deshaun Watson. I get you had to trade DeAndre Hopkins. You know, cap wise, you've got a lot of money tied up in Watson as opposed to Arizona, who's now getting to pay Hopkins and having Murray on his rookie deal. So it's tough. You know, you got to maneuver the salary cap, and I don't think Bill O'Brien does a good job of that. So I love Deshaun Watson, but Bill O'Brien's got me hopping off the train. I am selling my stock in the Houston Texans.
Agreed. Agreed there for sure. I am selling stock of my own. It hits dear and near to my heart.
This shocked me. I'm interested here.
I'm selling stock on the 2-0 Bears for many reasons. One of them is so no one can come on this and say I'm a homer and always are always on the Bears because I'm going to keep it real. They're 2-0. They've played two terrible teams, the Lions and the Giants. Both games they allowed it to come down to the final play. Often, like I said, they've played 3 good quarters of football out of 8. That's not going to get it done. The schedule gets much tougher. I think, yes, they're still at 8-8, 9-7 team, but I do not think that can squeak in the playoffs, maybe 10-6, but I do not think they're a lock by any means to get into the playoffs.
That's interesting to me. But are you confident against the Falcons this week?
Honestly, I'm not. I'm second guessing because I said yesterday I liked the Bears +3 initially, and because we think that line moves.
Right.
I could see Atlanta scoring not at will, but scoring plenty of points. And as bad as their defense is, we know that the Bears have not gone up against two good defenses yet either.
Yeah.
And they're still only scoring 17 and 24. So I won't be surprised if the Falcons win this week. I'm
I
probably going to
wouldn't.
stay away from that game further than what I have.
No kidding. I wouldn't wish being the odds maker for that game on my worst enemy because the Bears have had the tale of two halves, literally. They had the second half against the Lions, and then they had the first half against the Giants, and then let them come back in the game. Falcons, you just have no idea what you're going to get with that tire fire. So, yeah, we'll keep an eye on that one this weekend. I'll stay in the division. I'm selling the Minnesota Vikings. My goodness, I think you guys missed the window. I'm sorry. I liked what you did. I didn't. A lot of people cried foul at giving Kirk Cousins that money. I thought that was a good play at trying to contend. You just didn't have the full makeup of getting to. It's very hard to be a contending franchise for multiple seasons, and it's tough. And now I think the salary cap, the defensive holes, Zimmer. People are getting sick of Zimmer. I think it's all going to come crashing down, and you're going to see a rebuild. So I'm selling early here. I'm hitting the panic button. I'm getting off the Vikings at 0-2 here.
Selling the Vikes also, I think they're a 4-12 or 5-11
Oh my
football team.
goodness.
It
Yeah.
got bad in a hurry, and I think it's going to be all the bad. But honestly, their fans would rather it be 5-11 than 8-8 because typically the Bears are a victim of it and the Vikings are a victim of it. When they're bad or they're good, it's mediocre, and they're 7-9, 8-8. They're never, rarely in the top 10 for draft picks. But a team that everyone was high on, I was never high on them to begin with because of the Super Bowl hangover, and that is the 49ers. Yes, they got a win this week, but they lost half their team. Their injury report was one of the longest I've seen in a long time. I don't even care about Jimmy Garoppolo being game to game, day to day, week to week. I don't think that there's really that big of a drop off between him to Mullins in the Shanahan offense. Nick Bosa torn ACL, biggest loss for sure for them. D Ford was already hurt. Toughest division in football. I think they really struggle to find their way back. 7-9, 8-8, and they missed the playoffs.
Yeah, agreed. The Super Bowl hangover is just crazy. And I thought the 49ers were going to be a team that's going to be able to do it. But I also discounted the Arizona Cardinals making that step. As you said it, that is clear and away the toughest division so far here after 2 weeks. We're going to get into some division picks again very quickly before we wrap up this edition of Corbett's Corner. It's Dylan Corbett, Matt Cruzen. And we'll be updating that throughout the course of the week because the NFL's ever changing. The Falcons could rip off 4 in a row. Last team I'll sell, it's the New Orleans Saints. I'm not a Saints guy. NFC South rival. Michael Thomas, I think he talks a big game for being a guy that feeds off the nipple of Drew Brees. Drew Brees, my goodness. He is the most accurate quarterback this sport has ever seen. And he is putting up, numbers like Josh Allen last year. So the completion percentage is it just 2 games? Is it because Michael Thomas isn't there? Maybe Michael Thomas is deserving more credit. That Las Vegas Raiders team is not very good defensively. I know they're getting better. Abrams back, right? He was missed all last year, their first-round pick out of Alabama. Drew Brees getting old. I think Father Time is knocking on the door of both TB12 and Drew Brees this year. So I am selling on the Saints because of the injuries and maybe Drew Brees losing a touch of accuracy due to age.
As Stephen A. Smith says, Father Time is undefeated. And I agreed. Brees and Brady, they have lost a step or two. I think Brady last 2 years, but Brees from last year, this year. Last team I'm selling, the Dallas Cowboys. Everyone's hooting and hollering about this insane win. Give me a break. We've seen your Falcons blow lead after lead. Can't close out a game. Dallas, the only thing they have going for them is that they are in the worst division in football. I still don't think they win. I still think that defense is terrible. Yes, they can score, but they could score last year. They set record after record on offense in scoring. I'm selling the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. That division's always just a toss-up. Let's get into some division winners. So I'll run through my division winners in the AFC, give you my AFC title prediction winner, and then we'll get Matt's thoughts on the AFC and then shift to the NFC. So the AFC, I'm going to give the Ravens. I think they're one of the best teams, obviously, in the NFL. I think the Steelers might make some noise in the AFC North, but I think the Ravens are going to take care of business again. The Browns, I'm not buying them whatsoever. I'm going to go with the Patriots. I think that they own that division. I think Belichick and Cam Newton will be able to do it. I agree the Bills are good like last year. Josh Allen, you got to show me more than 2 games that you made that step. So I'm just waiting to see that. I know the Patriots are always going to have a solid team under Belichick, and Newton's proved it before as well. So I'll ride with them in the AFC East. Titans just quietly in a trash division, AFC South. I'll give it to them. And then I'll have the Chiefs, obviously, in the AFC West. I'll have the Chiefs going back to the Super Bowl. I think it's very hard to do that, but this is one of the teams that, my goodness, when you've got a quarterback who you just paid, you're going to have that guy ruling the AFC West at least for the next 10 years, and maybe not the AFC. Remember Tom Brady and Peyton Manning. That was their conference. This could be a very similar situation with Patrick Mahomes. So I've got the Chiefs going back to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, we have 3 out of 4 the same there. I'm with you. Baltimore will win the AFC North. I think, they're 14-2 team last year. Big upset in the first round. KC repeats as AFC West. I think Vegas is much better, but they're still not anywhere near Kansas City's level. I do think Buffalo wins the AFC East. That's the one we differ on. It's been that New England's division for a long time. I think Josh Allen is for real. But those are actually going to be 2 really good games, Buffalo and New England later in the season. And then, yes, Tennessee just quietly lurking in the shadows, staying in top third, crummy division, 9-7 team. It'll come down to the last week. They'll be playing like the Colts or somebody, and it'll have meaning. So that's where I'm there on the AFC.
Yeah, I think really the AFC East is going to be the only interesting division. I think the AFC is much more top-heavy than the NFC. Who do you have winning the conference?
Oh, yeah. I have Baltimore taking, similar. I kind of compare this to what we saw in Virginia basketball, losing to the 16 seed, coming back and winning the championship. Obviously, Baltimore losing to the wild card games, not nearly as bad as a 116 in college basketball. But same concept. They learn from it. They have arguably the most dynamic player in the entire game in Lamar Jackson. That defense is good. John Harbaugh, Hall of Fame coach, in my opinion. I think they get to the big game this year.
To that point, because I like using that methodology as well. I used that with the Chiefs last year with, they lost in the AFC title game. Okay, they're probably going to get past that, and then they eventually won in the Super Bowl. So with the Ravens, first it was Lamar Jackson, remember, 2 years ago, not completing a pass for an entire half. So then, he was awful. Then I figured he would be doing better in his second playoff game, but I still took Tennessee with the points, hit that, and obviously it was an upset. So I've got Lamar Jackson going to the AFC title game, them Chiefs, but he's going to fall short. He'll get there eventually, but again, so I think most of America is with us that the Chiefs and Baltimore are probably going to be in that AFC title game. Hope that everyone can stay healthy.
Yeah, I think that's the AFC title game for the next 5 years because neither of those quarterbacks are going anywhere anytime soon. And it'll be interesting over the years to see if Josh Allen really, takes that step. Is he the third, or is he, the unanimous third? That'll be fun to watch.
No, that's fascinating. It's like a different era and a different style of Brady Manning and kind of Phillip Rivers just hanging around. It's going to be Josh Allen as the Phillip Rivers hanging around Lamar Jackson and company. Okay. All right, let's shift to the NFC, and then we'll get you out of here on a Tuesday. He's Matt Cruz, and I'm Dylan Corbett. This is Corbett's Corner. So I'll actually go with Dallas here for the NFC East just because it is such a crap division. They're going to figure it out eventually. The Falcons are the Falcons, but it still takes a decent team with a heck of an offense to come back from that with the offense on the other side too. We know the Falcons defense is just a disgrace, but at least Dallas had the offense to keep up with Atlanta, who's still a top fire offense, but that team is just in shambles. I'm high on Green Bay. They were one of the teams I'm buying. I've got them to take the North. All right, before I get to my hot take, I've got Seattle to win the West, and in the South, I've got the Atlanta Falcons. Coming back from down 0-2. I will not believe in them, but that division looks open. Breeze, he's missing throws he's made his whole career. It's just 0-2. Maybe the NFC South is the worst division. The Panthers stink. I'll go to the Falcons. And now I've got the Seahawks winning the NFC. I think it's Russell Wilson. They lost to the Packers last year. I was toying. I think it might be a Seahawks-Packers NFC Championship game, and I'll stick with the Seahawks-Chiefs Super Bowl so far.
Okay. NFC North, I'm with you, Packers. I think they end up are the number one overall seed going into the playoffs. For the NFC East, give me the Washington football team, a team of destiny,
I like it.
playing for their coach, Mark Rivera, battling cancer. So give me the football team to win that incredibly bad division. NFC South, also, I'm definitely not going Falcons.
What?
I'm gonna stick with the Saints. One interesting stat I heard last night. So like the Saints, they win their division virtually every year. They make the playoffs with Drew Brees. Since 2013, the 2013 was the last time they started 2-0. They're 1-1 every single year, and then they just reel off 6, 7, 8 in a row, like they did last year with Teddy Bridgewater. So I'm still gonna take the Saints. I do think it's them or the Bucks. AFC or NFC West, give me the Arizona Cardinals. I think
Mm.
one thing that plays big to their advantage is they're playing a last place schedule. Just looked at their schedule. They're going to be 6-0. They play like Dolphins and four other pretty bad teams. They're going to be 6-0. I think they 10-6, 11-5. They're legit. I still think Seahawks make the playoffs, but Arizona wins that division. And then I'm gonna go Packers to actually represent the NFC in the Super Bowl. As much as it hurts me, I think it's kind of one last hurrah for Rodgers. I don't think he's done after this year or anything, but I do think the Jordan Love draft pick really lit a fire under him. They look for real, and I think they do get there.
That's the beauty of the NFL is it's a new team could go from last to first because, as you said, it's the schedule works out to where you're trying to help those teams that struggled last year. Now all of a sudden the Cardinals are making a leap in Kyler Murray and Cliff Kingsbury's second year that's almost unheard of. And again, we'll pump the brakes. It's just 2 weeks, but that's what NFL fans
It's
love to do.
It's exactly what happened to the Bears 2 years ago when they were
Exactly.
12-4. They were playing the last place schedule. Last year they're playing a first one. It's just not the same. It's a huge difference maker in the NFL.
So we'll try and do this every week after Monday Night Football on a Tuesday. He's Matt Cruz and I'm Dylan Corbett. This is Corbett's Corner, and we'll give you some teams that we're buying and selling each week, and we'll update our division winners. Some will probably stay the same, conference winners. I liked how you and I are pretty much in – we had different teams representing each other, but we've got pretty much the handful of the top 5 teams in the NFL even after 2 weeks. We're right in line there. So thanks. Remember to hit subscribe. We're up to 25 right now, which is great. I wanted to get to 40 by this Sunday. So we're hoping to get to that number and above and beyond, of course, as well. So we'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Thanks for listening and make sure to subscribe.